Welcome to the Top Listing Agent Show. Each week, Chadi Bazzi will show you how to attract seller leads, go on more appointments so you can list more, sell more, and give more to your clients, family, and community, hence making the world a better place. This podcast is about answering one question: how to build a sustainable top listing agent business without sacrificing your freedom. And now, let the show begin.
Hey, Chadi Bazzi here, and welcome to another episode of the Top Listing Agent Show. Today's episode is a little bit different. It's a book review on a book that I just recently read called What Happened to You by Dr. Bruce Perry and Oprah Winfrey. I think you are all familiar with who is Oprah, and anything that Oprah touches or recommends, you got to get your hands on, etc. But what I want to do is I want to begin this podcast by not talking about the book. However, why I read the book and what happened to me. You see, I did a podcast interview with the amazing Rima Rafe about a week ago. If you have not listened to it, please do so now, as it is filled with, all the success principles that you need to keep leveling up your real estate business, just like she has, to the point of 200 homes that she will sell this year. So on the podcast, I asked Rima to recommend a book to our audience. And she recommended the book titled What Happened to You. She said, Chadi, this is a must-read book. So I was like, okay, I'm going to place an order today and read it and do a review on it here on our podcast. So I placed the order right away. I got the book the next day. Gotta love Amazon for that. I took a peek at it and I was like, what did I get myself into? This is not the kind of book I want to read or like to read. So naturally, I resisted right away and I put the book down. The next day, I picked it up. And again, I was like, oh no, I do not want to read this book. So I returned it to Amazon knowing I do not want to read it. Might as well get my money back if I'm not going to read it anyways, right? Then Rima on Instagram says, I bet you are liking this book now. She left me a comment saying, I bet you're liking this book by now. I ignored the message for a few minutes and I got to thinking. I thought to myself, you made a commitment to read the book when no one asked you to. You're either a man who honors what he says or you're not. And Rima and your entire podcast audience heard you make this commitment and they are holding you accountable to follow through. That is exactly what I needed, right? Yes, exactly. So what popped in my head immediately is how important accountability is. I hold my clients accountable to follow through on their commitments, and that is how they are crushing their goals.
Want to take more listings now? Then let Chadi show you how at www.takemorelistingsnow.com. Each time I was held accountable, I had a breakthrough of some sort. And each time I personally had a breakthrough, it made me a better coach to help others create similar breakthroughs for themselves and, their business. So I ordered the book again and got to reading it right away. And I got to tell you, I am so glad I did, which also verifies the famous Chadi Bazzi quote that your big breakthroughs usually come from doing the things that you resist the most. As you can tell, I had a lot of resistance towards reading this book. So before I share with you some points from the book, I will say that if you are someone who knows, what he or she needs to do and is not doing it, it's okay. Just don't think to yourself, what is wrong with me? Think instead, what happened to me that got me here? And that is the point number one from the book. It is that, we are most times, we're beating ourselves up with the thought process that something is wrong with us. Again, there's nothing wrong with us. Just something along the line of life that happened to you that molded you into who you have become, and you do not need to spend the rest of your life living this way. What this book did for me is it caused me to take a deeper look at my past in a way that shed some light on me to look at the future in a new light, to move away from pain, to move away from shame and regret, and to keep on moving forward with self-acceptance and a better understanding of why we hold on to things that do not serve us. However, for most people, what they are holding on to is something that is beyond their awareness. They have no idea that they are holding on to anything that is forever shaping every decision they are making. Trauma. That's what the book is all about. Trauma. Trauma is something that most people do not think about and or admit that they have ever experienced, when in reality, the book talks about over 60% of us have experienced some trauma of some sort. Trauma is something that most people do not think about, again, and or admit they have experienced. Listen to that one more time. Trauma is something most people do not think about and or admit that they have experienced. See, a traumatic event could nothing like there's, how can I explain this? A traumatic event has nothing more than, it could be nothing more than someone saying something to you that is not true. Somebody saying something to you about you that's not true, that hurt you, that you dismiss in a day or a week or a month. However, not dealing with it does not mean you did not experience it, or it did nothing to shape you into who you have become. You see, with this scenario and or whichever scenario you have experienced, it calls you to be more careful, to be less trusting of others, to be more fearful, to say less when speaking to people. Okay, like some people say, well, I have a hard time talking to people, etc. And or flat out, stay away from people altogether. Yes, it may be, trauma may be just a memory for you, a painful memory. And that memory is dictating all your decisions, what you do, why you do it, how you do it, and why you avoid it altogether. See, after reading this book, which I'm going to highly recommend that every single person read this book, it is my belief that we all have experienced some trauma in our lives, and until we work to accept it and resolve it, it will haunt us forever. And the more that you understand your past, which the book is going to go in very detail by having you take, assessments of yourself to better understand your past, etc. And the more that you understand your past, the better future you can create for yourself and those you love. See, 3 big takeaways right here. The key is to understand why we do what we do, and try to develop different reactions to circumstances that we have been through. Number 2, give yourself more grace. Give yourself more grace. See, it's easier to echo those negative things that certain people have said about us. But we have to deliberately ensure that we give ourselves room for growth, being compassionate to ourselves as well, speaking positive words, and affirming to ourselves some positivity.
Want to make more listings and sell more homes in less time? Then make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at www.chadibazzi.tv.
And finally, having a strong support system in place. So what is the book going to do for you? It's going to take you back all the way to your childhood, have you uncover any and all traumatic events that you've experienced, that you maybe just put in your, as they say, like your code book. They talk about in the book, like everything, all our experiences, we put it in a code book in the back of our minds, like in the hard drive of your brain. But because it's there and it's not being addressed, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's not affecting who you are and what you do and why you do it, why you don't do it, why you avoid it, and all that great stuff. So it's going to help you really better understand yourself. Okay, the next thing is it's going to help you really uncover new ways to deal with what you've gone through, how to heal it, how to let it go, and take whatever lessons it have taught you and move that with you into the future to become a better version of yourself, and where and how to get the support that you need to keep on working on becoming the better version of yourself. Thank you very much for your listening. This has been the review for the book, What Happened to You by Dr. Perry and Oprah Winfrey. And I'll see you on the next episode of the Top Listing Agent Show. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to today's show. This podcast is sponsored by Listings on Demand, a unique one-of-a-kind 6-on-1 coaching model that gives you access to 6 coaches 5 days a week to skyrocket your real estate business and become a top listing agent. Want to find out if you are fit to work with us? Simply go to www.takemorelistingsnow.com/call to book a time to speak to our team. We will get on the phone with you for about 45 minutes and get you crystal clear on 3 things. Number one, where to find daily sellers leads. Number two, the exact strategy to set more appointments. And number three, the exact strategy to take the listing. We look forward to working with you.